Welcome to Soda Anonymous. I'm your host, Soda Anonymous. Today's episode, I'm going over Pepsi with real sugar. I've got the fun facts here. Let's go over that real quick. Pepsi, like most big-name sodas, switched from cane sugar to high-fructose corn syrup in the 80s as a reaction to government tariffs on sugar and subsidies on corn. In response to increased enthusiast demand for sodas sweetened with cane sugar and the growing sentiment that high-fructose corn syrup wasn't as healthy as natural sugar, Pepsi released Pepsi Throwback alongside Mountain Dew Throwback in early 2009 as a limited-time market test. Pepsi Throwback not only replaced the high-fructose corn syrup with sugar, it also removed the citric acid normally found in regular Pepsi to give it a sweeter, smoother taste. The batch was successful, and Pepsi continued to release limited batches of Pepsi Throwback until 2011, when both Pepsi Throwback and Mountain Dew Throwback were made permanent additions to the Pepsi catalog. In 2014, Pepsi Throwback was reformulated slightly, reportedly tweaking the sugar and the sodium content. This was renamed Pepsi with Real Sugar. This is what we have today. Pepsi with Real Sugar is not to be confused with Mexican Pepsi, which is also sweetened with cane sugar. The flavor is widely reported to be different enough to justify both versions on store shelves. And I will review Mexican Pepsi at a later time. Pepsi with Real Sugar had a limited run of 2 additional flavors when it first released: Pepsi Vanilla with Real Sugar and Pepsi Wild Cherry with Real Sugar. Both are discontinued at this time. All right, well, with this out of the way, let's get on with the review. All right, so first things first, before I open this, I should go over sort of my history with the drink. I've had Pepsi Throwback before. I remember when it first came out, and there was sort of the excitement around going away from high fructose corn syrup and back to real sugar, and people were saying, oh, it's so much better, it's so much better. I was more focused on the Mountain Dew Throwback when that came out, just because I like Mountain Dew more than I like regular Pepsi, so it wasn't really as much on my radar. But I do remember trying Pepsi Throwback and thinking it tasted better, but not good enough to try again. I believe I've had Pepsi Throwback twice, and then after that, I didn't really touch this stuff. So I haven't really tried this in quite some time, quite a number of years. Oh gosh, it's got to be somewhere around 8 years now. I've never had this reformulated version, so I don't know what this is going to taste like. But I'm interested. I hope it tastes good. Logically, it would make sense for it to taste good. Real sugar tends to bring this sort of a brightness to a soda. And because Pepsi is a brighter type drink, type cola, maybe that sugar will give it that extra oomph it needs to wow me. If you've seen my Pepsi review, the previous episode, you would know that I'm not a huge Pepsi fan. I'm more of a Coke guy. I'm actually, I prefer high fructose corn syrup Coke over the Mexican sugar Coke. So it's kind of 2 strikes against it for me. But I do think that while Coke kind of benefits from the extra flavor and bite that high fructose corn syrup offers, I think Pepsi is more in tune with cane sugar. So logically this should be better, but we'll see. Anyway, I really like the bottle. First of all, the retro sort of 70s, 80s logo is very cool. I think it's a lot more interesting than the minimalist stuff that we've got now. This looks way cooler, and I really like the colors. I like this bottle. It's kind of got like a lava lamp look, where it's kind of fat and stubby at the top, and then it's got a little bit of a twist, or like concentric rings in the bottle. It does look really cool. I don't think it looks as cool as a Coke bottle, but I think it's very recognizable. If this became the standard Pepsi bottle, like I could see this becoming a bit more iconic, the sort of lava lamp style. But yeah, it's cool looking. I'm excited to try this. I hope this can help me understand the hype behind Pepsi. I'm also interested to see what Pepsi tastes like with no citric acid, because as I said before, they got rid of the citric acid in this formulation. So it's not like Mexican Coke where they just replace the high fructose corn syrup with sugar, and that's the only difference. This one actually has a formulation difference as well. And I wonder what that lack of acidity is going to do to the Pepsi flavor. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, that's enough jabbing. I've got regular Pepsi right here to compare it to, just in case it's really subtle and I kind of have to pick it out. So that's going to be a little bit of a comparison. And I've got some water right here to sort of wash out my mouth in between taking sips. Now, this Pepsi, I bought it in a glass bottle because I've determined that I prefer glass bottles, and I think glass bottles are the best for testing and for taste. If you want to know more of my thoughts on that, check out my container video. I'll link that down in the description for you to check out. But this is available in cans just like this one. It says made with real sugar at the bottom. It's got a little bit of a different logo, sort of the old logo, but for all intents and purposes it looks really similar. And then you can also get it in the plastic bottles, and it'll say made with real sugar, and it's got a white band along the top of the label and also a white cap on top. So this is widely available. It is, whereas Coke is kind of hiding their sugar version in the international section or in certain supermarkets, you know, the Pepsi is going right out front and center and delivering on what people want. So even though I'm not a Pepsi guy, I really do respect that they're willing to cater to the enthusiast market. They are willing to produce a real sugar Pepsi that's widely available for everybody. So that's really exciting. Anyway, that is it for the intro. So I'm going to pop this guy open. First of all, I'm pretty sure, because this is an American one, it doesn't have an arrow on it, but I think this is a twist off. So I'm going to give it a shot here, and if it's not, I'm going to have an awkward cut. So let's check. Oh, yep, that's a twist off. All right, good. I'm going to save that bottle cap for later. It actually looks really cool. Okay, let's give it a pour and a sniff test here. Nice and ice cold. All right, that's enough. All right, there it is. I would say it looks a little bit bubblier than the regular one. I don't think it has to do necessarily with the real sugar. I think it's more to do with the fact that it's in a glass bottle, so it's going to hold its carbonation pretty much perfectly for quite a while. But yes, this is significantly more carbonated than in the previous review where I reviewed regular Pepsi. The color is the exact same. It's sort of the slightly more reddish hue of the brown, almost a burgundy color. But yeah, it's a cola color. Let's give it a sniff here. All right. Now, that's kind of strange. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It doesn't smell like Pepsi. It really doesn't. I'm trying to think if I like it. All right, well, let me try to walk through this step by step. I'm kind of a little bit thrown off. I expected a similar smell difference between, say, a high fructose corn syrup Coke and a Mexican Coke, where, yeah, they're different. You can tell that there is a definite difference, but it's not night and day. It's not huge. Regular Coke is a little bit less bright, but they kind of have the same smell. This, it doesn't really smell like Pepsi to me. I think I like it. It's got almost like a, I can't really place it. It's sort of like a root beer, root extract, some sort of bark. Like there's a line between root beer and birch beer. I'm getting some hint, maybe like almost licorice. It's got this really distinct smell. It's kind of growing on me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely natural. It doesn't smell like chemicals. It's just something I've never smelled before. All right, well, it's definitely bright. It is a super bright smell. So the predominant smell is the sweetness. And it's got a tinge of that cola gummy smell that I got from regular Pepsi. But it's a much more complex smell. It's got, as I said, some sort of root. It's like a root beer, but not quite. It's somewhere in that vein. It's some sort of natural spice or flavor that I can't quite pick out that is really prominent in this. But I like it. The closest I can compare it to is a root beer. It's a little bit less dark, a little bit brighter than a root beer smell, but it's fairly similar. And yeah, that's what I'm picking out. Let's just, for the sake of it, compare it to this smell, just in case maybe it's just a different day. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is like night and day. I wouldn't say it's as far as Coke and Pepsi in terms of night and day, but it's not far off. It's honestly like pretty remarkable. One thing I missed was that the Pepsi, regular Pepsi, had sort of a lime acidic smell that sort of permeated through it, where a Coke smells kind of more like lemon, Pepsi smells a little bit more like lime. This is completely lacking that. So my guess is that is the citric acid that is taken out of this formulation. And I think that citric acid is just so powerful because when I'm smelling it, yeah, it's definitely like really a strong, pungent smell in comparison to this. That it lets out the other flavors of the Pepsi better, in the smell at least. And yeah, I have a feeling that this is going to taste pretty different. All right, well, that's enough sniffing. I'm really excited now. All right, so this is going to be Pepsi with real sugar, formerly Pepsi throwback, reformulated slightly in a glass bottle. For the first time having this formulation, it's for the first time in many years I'm having this, so yeah, I'm pretty excited. Cheers. I'm going to have to let this sit with me for a second. I got to contemplate this. I think I really like it. I think I really like it. I got to let it sit with me. But I don't think I've ever had anything that tastes like this. Even close. It's like a honey type of flavor. It's got the dark taste that you would expect from a cola. It doesn't have any of the bite that you would get from Coca-Cola at all. But instead of that like super simple, artificial, wham of sugar that you would get from a normal Pepsi. And like just the simple flavor. This is kind of complex. I got to think about it. It's got that weird rooty taste that I mentioned in the smell. It's definitely a predominant flavor. But I quite like it. It tastes really good. And the sweetness really does complement this drink a lot. I was definitely right. It made sense in theory. It definitely makes sense in practice. Pepsi, being the more sugary drink in the cola family, going for the more brighter side, works way better with real sugar than high fructose corn syrup, or even than Coke, which it goes for a deeper, sort of more bitey flavor, and that's better with, in my opinion, with high fructose corn syrup. All right, this is really exciting because I've been trying to understand Pepsi for a long time here. So I wonder if people who really like Pepsi can pick this flavor out, or if it's just that this formulation speaks to me and this one just doesn't. So I'm gonna try this regular one here. No, it's night and day. It really is. Yeah. This is just, it's dead simple. I can definitely taste the citric acid. Now I know what the difference is, and it's hard to pick out by itself, but when you're going back to back, it's got a little bit of that. It does have a little bit of that, like, citrus note, just a smidge. But it almost just feels like bite on the tongue. So it's less of a flavor and more of a mouthfeel. This completely lacks that. It's super smooth, super duper smooth. Let's see if I can pick out that vanilla that I found in that one last time. No? No, it doesn't really taste like vanilla. It's just honey and some sort of root spice thing. I can't quite pinpoint what exactly it is. I clearly haven't had it by itself or in something else before, but it is very enjoyable. I do really like it. This is a good soda. I would buy this. I like this. And I do want to clarify once again, I am not, I playfully refer to them as the cane sugar cult. I am not a member of the cane sugar cult. There is this pervasive sort of opinion in the soda enthusiast community that cane sugar is always better 100% of the time. High fructose corn syrup shouldn't exist. Cane sugar is it's better for you. It always tastes better. Everything like that. And I don't consider myself a member of that camp. Coke, which is one of my favorite sodas of all time, I prefer in the high fructose corn syrup variant. So I'm not just saying that to jump on a bandwagon or because for health reasons or whatever. I want to convince myself that this is better. This is legitimately a significantly better soda. This is great. All right. Yeah. Wow. I don't even want any more of this. I gotta give this a rating here. So I'm a little starstruck. It's really good. All right. Well, let's be thorough about this now. So it's not giving me a bite, which is generally what I come to cola for. However, it seems to target its own niche. I've never really tasted anything like this, and I enjoy this taste. It's a good, bright drink. I'm kind of afraid to do it. I think I'm gonna give it a 10. And that's kind of bold. And I know that it's sort of like the reviewer's poison to just throw out 10s willy-nilly. So I'm not just saying that. It was between a 9 or a 10, and it is just very, very good. Like I said, it's a honey. It's got those root notes. It's a very sweet, pleasant, super smooth. Goes down with no bite at all. The bubbles are nice and smooth and work really well in the drink's favor. This just all comes together and gives you something that is altogether a different kind of cola than anything I've ever really had. And this is really good. So I'm going to give it a 10. There's a chance that the honeymoon period could sort of fade away and it's going to look more towards a 9, just being rational. But I think it's reasonable in saying that my initial impression is very high for this. So if you've never had this before, give it a shot. If you can't find it in glass, go ahead and get it in a can. Go ahead and get it in plastic. Do whatever you have to do. Give this a shot. If you're not a Pepsi guy, if you don't like Pepsi, give this a shot. I'm Coke fanboy to the death. Regular Pepsi got a 6. Regular Coke gets a 10. This stands next to Coke as a reasonable partner. And it feels crazy for me to say that there is a regular Pepsi that tastes this good. And honestly, I don't even think it's the sugar. The sugar is really good. The sweetness really brings it out. But I think the lack of citric acid just brings out so much more in this flavor. And I can't say enough good things about this. It's honestly remarkable. All right, well, have you ever had Pepsi with real sugar? If you have, what do you think about it? Do you have this dramatic of an opinion difference between these two? Let me know down in the comments below. If you've never had Pepsi with real sugar, go out, just grab one, give it a shot. If you don't end up liking it, hate on it in the comments, let me know. But this is remarkable to me. I will buy more. I may even switch it into rotation every once in a while, like maybe every six things of Coke, I might buy a pack of these. This is good. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm really happy I found a new soda. I finally have a Pepsi that I can reach for and sort of bond with my Pepsi friends. But yeah, that's it for this episode. So hope to see you next time. And this is Soda Anonymous signing off.